Licensed movie games are a rare breed nowadays. If we look at this graph I whipped together in 27 seconds, you can see that even though they were all the rage from the 90s to the mid-2000s, once the late 2000s and early 2010s started, movie games, and licensed games in general, started to taper out in popularity as the general cost of making them became too much for movie studios and licensing holders that it was seen as unprofitable when they could just do stuff like putting their characters into pre-existing games. Why do anything new and exciting with Ben 10 when you can just put them in Fortnite and hurt my soul? At least I still have the comics to look forward to. Oh, why does he look like that? It's a shame, really, because I've always seen movie games specifically as these fascinating experiments. When making one, you're not designing a world from scratch like a normal game. You're working with a lot of pre-established lore that was all set up in one, maybe two movies. Do you try to turn a 2-hour-long movie into a 6+ hour game? How many liberties do you take in doing that? Or is it safer to set it before or after the movie and hope that future installments in the franchise don't screw you over canon-wise? I fully understand why these games faded out of popularity, but I won't pretend like I don't miss them. But just before that tapering off in the 2010s, a movie franchise juggernaut came along and flipped pop culture on its head with the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first film, Iron Man. The impact that first movie in the franchise had cannot be understated. It was fun, it was flashy, and it was a good comic book adaptation at a time when those were not very common, to say the least. Insert joke about your least favorite comic book movie, cause it's mine too, haha. Regardless of your thoughts on current Marvel flicks, the MCU was phenomenal for a while there. Sure, you had movies like Thor: The Dark World in there, but you've shit your pants in public before, don't pretend like you're above it. And with a success as big as the MCU, tie-in media was sure to follow. Toys, books, theme park attractions, and a small smattering of licensed video games. And I ain't a book channel or a defunct land, so we all know which one I'm gravitating towards. I'll give you a hint. It's not the toys. Previously, in my last big look at movie tie-in games, I did talk about the Iron Man game based on the first movie, and I would summarize my thoughts on it here so that it was all cohesive and you'd only have to watch one video, but I would rather you inflate my watch hours by going back and watching that video instead so that you get the full context here. Don't worry, I'll still be here, just pause the video and come back afterwards so I don't get lonely. Today we're going to be looking at the remaining MCU games. Now, of course, with any video I make that's playing every blank game, I have to set a few ground rules before people come and yell at me that I forgot some obscure thing on the Amiga or whatever. I'm not including the mobile games or VR experiences, because society as a whole shouldn't count those as real games. And I'm also not including LEGO Marvel Avengers because I don't count it as a real video game. Also note, this is strictly MCU games. We're not going to be touching the staggering amount of video games based off of the Sony Spider-Man games or Fox's X-Men or anything like that. Only the core MCU stuff. And I'm going to say now, before I have any MCU defenders in my comments telling me, but Wizard, all of those films are canon now because Deadpool said so. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Bees, 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 bees. First on the chopping block, the handheld companion title to the game I mentioned roughly 100 words ago in the script, Iron Man on the DS. The game starts and Tony sounds like he's falling asleep, which sets a really bad precedent right at the get-go.
Oh, there he goes again. Give it a rest, Shakespeare.
This game is very similar to the PS2 version, but it's a top-down beat-em-up / twin-stick shooter, evident by how the cameraman is hanging onto the ceiling for dear life. Move with the D-pad, melee attack with any of the face buttons, and use the touchscreen to aim a flamethrower. It's really slow and boring, but it's not the worst, so all things considered, I'd rate this on the same tier of fun as something like, I don't know, Hotel Transylvania for DS, or getting a CAT scan. After fighting way too many terrorists for a DS game, I lost count after 8, we do a boss fight that literally lasts all of 15 seconds and then get access to the Mark II armor. We can fly, but all this does for us is take the game from slow and boring to fast and boring, but now it easily beats CAT scan in the fun department. The melee attacks been subbed out with an EMP that takes 5 years to recharge, and our previously screen-clearing flamethrowers have been replaced with repulsor blasts. And something about the visual and audio design make them feel worthless. Like, yeah, I can see them doing damage, but it feels like I'm firing spitwads at everything. That is balanced out by the Unibeam, which feels powerful as all hell and recharges 100 times faster than an EMP, making you question what's the point of ever using the EMP. And that's it. You fly around random levels, blowing things done and getting shit up. It's not exactly a fun game, but it's also completely harmless. I think I can appreciate it for doing a gameplay style I haven't seen before, and the actual twin-stick shooting feels good enough. Hell, part of me thinks it might be better than the PS2 version because it's generally faster-paced, arcade-like feel. The PS2 version has the far superior flying controls, but I think if I need my licensed game based on the first Iron Man movie fix, I'll probably just play the DS version. And hey, let's quickly look at Iron Man 2. I know a lot of people hounded on this movie back in the day for being one of the worst Marvel movies ever, but I'll be honest, I just don't really remember a damn thing about this movie other than something about a briefcase suit, donuts, and free energy. Oh, and Rhodey's played by a different guy, and that might be the biggest impact this movie has. The PS3 version is basically just the first game from PS2 again, but just duller feeling. I don't know, something about this game vibe-wise makes me feel like I should actively not care about anything going on. Oh no, Jarvis is going to be stolen! Anyway, oh no, Tony's about to blow up if we don't stop these enemies. Anyway, oh no, these helicopters are about to blow up. Anyway, like, sorry if it sounds like I'm pissing all over this game, but nothing about these scenarios have any sort of urgency to them. There's just a lot of waiting. Waiting for these enemies to fly close to the tower so you can fight them. Waiting for these helicopters to move forward so you can deal with all the enemies ahead of them because the game yells at you if you run ahead of the helicopters to keep them safe. Waiting for your ammo to refill when you're playing as War Machine. Why would you make an Iron Man game where most of the game is waiting? It controls fine enough, but it just feels so lackluster. And something about the visuals of this game makes it feel less like I'm playing a licensed game and more like I'm playing an Iron Man themed mod for GTA 5. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just look at these cutscenes. It's probably better or on par with the PS2 game, but man, I felt nothing while playing it. And once again, the DS version is better, if only barely. Side-scrolling beat-em-up platformer with minimal touchscreen usage. You no longer have the shitty EMP and instead have a whole sweep of different melee attacks that makes it look like Iron Man is going to be in the next Smash Bros. The shooting is even worse than the last DS game though, just look at these pathetic blasts. But besides that, it's also just really, really fine. This one gets the edge over all the other Iron Man games for having Crimson Dynamo be the very first boss fight, but otherwise all four of them just kind of float around a miasma of mid-tier forgettable 5 out of 10 to 6 out of 10 experiences. Maybe it's because I played so many bad movie games in that other video, but I remember liking Iron Man on the PS2 a lot, but when I'm playing them all back to back together, it's whatever, it's nothing. Maybe it's time to move on to another smart guy with superpowers. That did not narrow it down at all, help! The Incredible Hulk. I watched this movie once when I was like 10, and just like Iron Man 2, I don't really remember anything about it other than a main character getting recast later on. That's not Don Cheadle. And to refresh myself on the movie before going into the game, I looked up some scenes of it on Google. Incredible Hulk on PS2 starts with Bruce Banner shooting himself in the head. Must be a short game. The military track him down and Bruce falls under some rocks. Okay, we got Button Mash become Hulk. I don't feel like it. Go back to sleep. Okay, we're gonna Hulk out. I'm gonna do it. I'm not feeling it. Okay, alright. And bruh. This is the game's tutorial level as you fight through a warehouse, and right off the bat, I really like how the Hulk controls. They managed to make him feel big and strong without being completely overpowered. I mean, you're nigh unstoppable unless you just put the controller down and give up, but you have enough variety in moves and what they do and how they feel that there's not this overwhelming boredom during combat. Take note, this will come back later when you least expect it. You can destroy so much of the environment. Pick up big objects like fuel tanks, throw them or use them as giant battering weapons, send the puny soldiers flying with the slightest touch, jump super fast and far. I dig it. The physics are a little screwy, like if you punch while jumping you just go whee! We beat up a giant mech suit and end the level throwing a tractor, cause country boys make do. We're then put into the main open world hub of the game, New York City, and after a mission here where we fight these alien guys or something, I wasn't really paying attention to the story, I was throwing taxis around, I found out that this really is a big open city. It's akin to something like Spider-Man 2, but now you're Hulk. You can do big jumps, climb skyscrapers, grab just about anything and toss it around, and in my favorite bit of detail that I was impressed by, nearly every building is destructible if you attack it enough. I'll be honest, this game tickled something in my brain. It has a very Just Cause 3 vibe to it, where I love roaming around the open world destroying things and making my own fun, but couldn't really give two shits about the story. I mean, just look at this face. Do you care what gripping things it has to say? Not that this game is anywhere near as fun as Just Cause 3, but it gives a similar comfort food vibe to me. I think this game does a really good job of making you feel like the Hulk, and I'm not just saying that for the meme. Since the Hulk is generally a literal monster in combat, the game sets up challenges that are a bit more unique to him. Like, instead of just a basic clear out these mooks mission, we have to help out our friend, the guy, disable bombs. So we get to use Hulk's sprint and jumpy abilities to carry him to the bombs and protect him from the baddies while he disarms them. It's still technically just a go here and fight some guys for a bit type of mission, but it's recontextualized to better suit a character like Hulk. especially when the game introduces things like these spaceships you have to jump on top of and smash to bits, or spacing the bombs out to be several blocks away so you get to have fun clambering across rooftops on the way there. I could take cheap shots at the visuals of the game being, quite frankly, disgusting, or how, again, I just really don't care about what's going on with the story. Those don't really hold the game back for me. I think the biggest issue at play is repetition. As much fun as it is to pilot the Hulk around as a massive aura of destruction, I have a feeling if I played this any more than an hour at a time, I'd get sick of it really quickly. This isn't a gourmet meal of a game that I'm willing to tuck in for hours at a time. It's more like a chocolate bar, a quick and easy bit of dopamine that will make me need to use the bathroom within 15 minutes of consuming. I'd say this one's at least worth a bit of a checking out, especially if you want a game that lets you wield the almighty destructive force of the Hulk. But if you instead want a game that made the Hulk feel like a brittle old man with a lung disease, you only need to up your one screen to 2 and play the Incredible Hulk on the Nintendo DS. Okay, I'm about to go on a big old rant about this one. Bear with me. This one sucks so much. It's a 2D platformer with light combat elements and a rage mechanic. As you make your way through levels, you build up rage, and when full, you hit a button and can blow through everything for a limited time. A controlled quick burst of power that requires you to engage with the level design a bit. In theory, this should be fun, frenetic action. How did they fuck it up? Any damage, and I mean so much as if an enemy looks at you funny, completely drains the rage meter. Even if you're in the rage mode. Why? It's completely antithetical to the rest of the game. When in rage mode, you move faster and blow through weak parts of the environment. But when the indestructible corridors are so cramped and enemy projectiles are this big, you either have to pray they somehow don't hit you or tiptoe through. Why would you make a game where, as the Incredible Hulk, when you enter your angry smashing rage mode, you become a fragile piece of wet pasta? And it's not just enemies who can interrupt your rage mode. Partway into the first world, there's a level stuffed with these stupid fans that freeze you, and despite being a part of the environment, they can still stop your rage mode. Am I missing something here? Was there a gas leak in the developer's office building when they made this? And it wouldn't be so egregious if we didn't just see how to translate a character like the Hulk into a game on the console version. And no, I'm not asking for the DS to replicate the PS2 game one-to-one. I'm just asking for game design that isn't blatantly incorrect. I understand they wanted to ensure you weren't terribly overpowered, but that doesn't work when you make a game about the fucking Hulk. I know it's a DS movie game and harping on it will not bring back my childhood innocence, but frustrating game design is still frustrating game design, and I will harp as I please. And also, as we've seen throughout this channel, being a movie tie-in game is not an excuse for ass-backwards design choices, so a Hulk on DS can go fuck itself. And when we're on the topic of boring, barely palatable slop dressed in a cheap video game suit, Thor on Wii. Yes, I got tired of the PS2 and wanted to see what waggling a Wiimote would do for the wizened old wizard, and waving a Wii remote is all you're welcome to do when playing this wretched wreck of a weekend-ruining game that feels weak, wimpy, and weary. Thor on Wii is a beat-em-up. You beat 'em, you up 'em, and it has motion controls, but none of it fucking matters because this is by far the most boring Wii game I've covered on the channel. Congratulations, Hulk on DS. Congratulations, Iron Man 2 on PS3. Congratulations, third example that I'll put up on screen but can't think of right now while recording. This game beats you all out in being boring. Remember how I said Hulk on PS2 worked because, despite your overwhelming power, it felt fun to control, and the different options to approach enemies made it interesting to do different punches and grabs and stuff and discouraged you from just doing one thing over and over? Well, just flip everything around for this game, because outside of hyper-specific moments like quick-time events, every move in Thor practically does the goddamn same thing. Oh sure, the uppercut knocks enemies up, or the regular attack is a 1-2-3 combo, or the hammer throw can hit enemies at distance. But why the fuck does it matter when I can just do this ad nauseum? Just swing the Wiimote left and right to do this spin move that gets stronger when your combo is above 20. And since the enemies are brain dead and run at you without any thought, your combo meter will just rise without any trouble. And at that point, why does anything else in the game matter? It's not like the game introduces enemies that need to be taken out in different ways. Just do this one move forever, maybe switch it up for quick time events or boss fights, and steamroll everything. You could argue that since I'm choosing to do the busted move, the problem lies in how I'm choosing to engage with the game, or therefore my lack of choosing to engage with it. But when the game isn't penalizing me for doing so, and it takes the exact same amount of effort and is the same amount of fun to perform as other moves, which is to say, very little, then why wouldn't I just use the one move over and over again? I barely played this one if I'm being honest, just the first 2 levels, which by the way both end in the same damn boss fight, but the second one is just slightly longer. If you want to defend this game, then you can play and waggle your arm back and forth. For 30 minutes I got tired. If I'm going to play a Thor game, I'll take my chances with the DS version. This one was developed by WayForward, who have a reputation for making great games, except for when they're making bad games to hurt me. Yes, as much as they're praised nowadays for things like Shantae, I think people forget that they also did a lot of not so good licensed games, Hotel Transylvania on DS being one we covered previously. But I guess to subvert my expectations, they made, well, I wouldn't say a great game, but it's at least good. Thor on DS is a snappy 2D action platformer with some beat-em-up elements. Now, even though I haven't brought it up till now, I'm not too big on 2D beat-em-ups where you only move left and right. In my opinion, you typically need that literal physical depth to make it fun, but Thor on DS manages to sidestep that issue with combat that takes place on the top and bottom screens, with the ability to instantly jump up to the top screen at a moment's notice. It's not perfect, and I still have some issues with the 2D beat-em-up style, but it's at least alleviated a bit here, and combined with the gorgeous sprite visuals that WayForward is known for, it's an all-around good time. I specifically want to highlight this boss from the end of Act 1. It looks so fucking cool for a licensed DS game, and almost feels like something out of the Metal Slug series. Just look at it move. Good job, WayForward. You've redeemed yourself after the Adam Sandler-related farce. And now, the final two MCU games, both of them based on Captain America Super Soldier. We're going to start with the DS version first, for reasons you're not allowed to know of yet, but also not stick with it too long because, similarly to Thor, it's nothing amazing. It's a 2D beat-em-up platformer, but with really fast and punchy combat. The regular level-to-level gameplay is pretty good, all things considered, especially when they throw in some parkour platforming, and this auto-running section was pretty fun, but it dips when you get to these mandatory and awkward stealth sections that do nothing but slow the pace down to a crawl. Now, sadly, this is about all that the Captain America game on DS brings to the universe. It had the mission statement of, be a Captain America game where you fight the bad guys of World War II, but on the DS there's only so much you can do with that concept while also being an action 2D platformer. Not a bad game at all by any means, just nothing to write home about. You may wonder what was the point of covering all these games if most of them are so paper thin I couldn't even use them to wipe my ass without fear of getting shit on my hand. Even the one game I called really good, The Incredible Hulk, wasn't complimented without the caveat of being compared to junk food. Well, my dear viewers, I needed to give you the full frontal context of every other MCU game, and dare I say even every other movie game I've ever covered on the channel, so you could understand with full certainty that I am speaking the truth when I say Captain America Super Soldier on PlayStation 3 is one of the best games I've ever played and easily the best movie game I have ever seen. It's so good, in fact, I considered scrapping talk about all the other games entirely to focus this video purely on it and how much pussy it gets on a daily basis, but that would have made the 10 or so hours I put into the other games combined go to waste, and I need to vent about Hulk on DS. The game starts with us saving a pair of soldiers from some Hydra goons after they just made fun of Cap. Right away, you can see the production quality and jump in aesthetics with being on PlayStation 3. Yes, Iron Man 2 was also on this console, but we already established that the game looks like Michael DeSantis found the Mark IV suit, whereas this game starts with rainy trench fights with bullets and explosions just off screen. This game is damn near 15 years old at time of writing and looks about on the same quality as a lot of PS4 games. Whether you take that as I do, like a compliment to the game's visual fidelity, or a knock against the platooning of video game graphics, doesn't really matter. This game looks the part of a major motion picture tie-in, and we just started. But speaking of those trench fights I brought up, they're fucking awesome as all hell. Right away, the actual meat and potatoes of the gameplay isn't anything like terribly amazing. You get some basic punch, some grabs, some counters, stuff like that. But look at this animation choreography, how punchy and explosive it feels. With all the sound effects, it just feels really damn good. And it all comes together in a way that, well, is very simple mechanically. It's still very satisfying to pull off all of the different fighting moves. And I promise the praise I give this game does not purely stem from the fact the first opening minutes involves you roundhouse kicking Hydra goons in the teeth, even though that is a massive way to earn my delight right off the bat. Now, of course, we're Captain America, meaning we not only have our pugilist fists and star-spangled calves to beat these racist nobodies into a pulp with, but we also have his shield, giving us a very nice block that plays a sound so satisfying that you will let out involuntary moans upon first hearing it, and throwing it is so fun that it will achieve the moistness that typically follows that sound. We're barely 5 minutes in, and this game has already hooked, lined, and sinkered me because it makes me feel like a total badass without just dumbing down the difficulty. And this is why I consider it one of mankind's greatest achievements. It's an action game, so it shows its hand by making the action really, really fucking good, culminating in a fight with a big new tough guy. It also introduces the function of the big blue meter in the corner I didn't tell you about yet because you needed to prove your patriotism, where for 1 bar you can activate a crippling strike. It shows a cutscene of Cap landing a sick blow that can either one-shot small enemies, or in the case of Mr. Right and Red over here, a decent chunk of their health. After that, we're shipped onto a plane to go take down a Hydra facility, which will become the main setting for the rest rest of the game. We got some more plot beats that boil down to Hydra is doing evil stuff. Go punch them, Cap. Which, yeah, that's all you really need for a Captain America game, so I'm not complaining. And then we fall into a pair of Hydra grunts. We get some more fun combat and get shown a new bit of gameplay, these quick time event parkour challenges. There's no penalty for failing them, but if you perfectly time your jumps, you not only fill up your meter to do the crippling strikes, but the animation that plays is really satisfying and pleases my simple homo sapien mind. The game continues to serve sweet serotonin to me by way of scientist goons who always go down in one penis-pleasing punch and computers that explode if you so much as look at them wrong. Then we get introduced to these collectibles that are everywhere, and they at least do some work to have it make sense why Cap is stuffing random German trinkets in his pants, because it's stuff like secret Hydra dossiers full of their evil secret plans, and old family heirlooms that belong to Zemo because he's a bastard and it's funny to steal his silverware. Over time, the game keeps introducing new mechanics like being able to ricochet bullets back at enemies, shield enemies that need to be grabbed or countered, a super simple hacking minigame that isn't some bullshit word search, but just needing to find the common symbol between two chunks. You deal with bigger and more extravagant challenges. There's a whole section where you're kidnapped by Hydra and need to get your shield back. You blow up a train at one point. You do action movie style espionage by listening to radio broadcasts and sabotaging their equipment. You fucking reflect rockets back, and it's one of the most dopamine instilling moments I've ever had in a video game. And in a move I'll never forgive myself for forgetting to record, and I'll have to settle for showing you someone else's footage of, you fight a giant Hydra robot named Iron Cross. It's so nuts and so comics, I love it. I'm struggling a bit to go into super hardcore detail onto why this game, on every level, works. And if I had to sum it up succinctly, it's that it's just fun and it knows it. It's not trying to be something deep or complex, but it's also not flimsy and shallow with its mechanics. It's genuinely one of the better examples of a AAA modern game, because it has all the punchy, fun gameplay that keeps you coming in, but none of the boring fluff that we all hate from action games of this caliber. There's no boring mini-games that completely slow the pace down to a crawl. The moments that you just slow down to a walk and talk to someone during a cutscene are pretty minimal. It's all just a bunch of good action back to back to back. It's got the memo of, you're Captain America and you need to go fuck up Hydra, and follow those instructions to the letter. All while, and I really do not like using this phrase because of its memery that I already mentioned earlier in the video, making you feel like Captain America. It's at this point that, if you're a certain breed of gamer, you may already recognize where this game supposedly takes a lot of cues. Looking up reviews for this game, you'll see many people claim it's a Batman Arkham knockoff. Now, it is important for me to bring up my own irrelevancy as a game reviewer and admit I have not played the Arkham games yet. They look good and I've heard they're good, but as I grew up with the little fondness I had for comics going to Marvel instead of DC, I never really paid them any mind. And since I am unbiased for those games, I can say you're all nuts for rating it mid regardless of it being a knockoff or not. Captain America Super Soldier is fucking great, and this isn't even a case of my love for a character blinding me like it is for stuff like Spider-Man PS4. Look, I love Insomniac Spider-Man, but it's not a perfect game, and most of my enjoyment comes from the sheer euphoria of swinging around New York City as Spider-Man. And hey, it's not like Captain America ever had a section where you didn't play as the main character and just did a glorified cutscene. Just saying. I don't dislike Captain America or anything, but he's never really been in my top picks ever. And the same can be said for his movie. I like the first Captain America movie, but it's not one I go back and rewatch much, so I'm not attributing any positive feelings for the character or the movie itself. This game is just fantastic. And this doesn't necessarily have any say towards why I like this game or affect my attitude on it. I just thought that it was a fun little fact that caught me off guard and I didn't know where else to naturally segue into it. Next Level Games developed this. You know, the guy's primarily known for Mario Strikers, Punch-Out on Wii, the newer Luigi's Mansions games. They also put out the best movie tie-in game that I've ever played, apparently. I think the only negative, and I mean the only negative that I can dish out to this game, is that it's currently stranded on the 7th generation of consoles. No backwards compatibility patch on Series X, no way to play it on modern PlayStation. Your only way of playing this is PS3, Xbox 360, or... And that is truly the worst part about this game, the lack of accessibility nowadays. If retro gaming prices were not the way they were, I'd almost say it's worth it to buy a PS3 and a copy of the game now. Hell, if you can find one at a reasonable price, I genuinely implore you to check the game out. Or just emulate it, it's not like Disney's gonna care anymore. And hey, if you need someone else who is as handsome and famous as me to assure you of its quality, how about Captain America himself? Yeah, not only did Chris Evans, the actor who plays Captain America in the MCU, voice himself in this game, which is a rarity for movie tie-ins, but he also said in an interview that he was inspired by the game's fight choreography when working on Winter Soldier was Winter Soldier. I accidentally said Civil War in the original script, and worked with the Russo brothers to make sure Captain America fought like how he did in the game in that movie. If that isn't some kind of recognition of quality, I don't know what else is. I know I've made lofty claims about certain licensed games being good, stuff like Barnyard or Ben 10 Cosmic Destruction, usually with the asterisks on the end being like, it's great for a movie game, or it's great if you're a fan of Ben 10. But this is one I can wholeheartedly say with confidence as just being a great game, no caveats necessary. Maybe someday I'll play the Arkham games and understand what people meant and see them as superior or whatever, but looking at this game on its own, it's one of the greats, and I never would have expected that going into it. Also, the 3DS version is completely fucked if you try to emulate it, just look at this footage. But now, time for the obligatory ranking every game on a tier list at the end bit I try to do with each video. So without further ado, Captain America is the only one worth playing, all the other ones going not really worth playing, the end. Bye!